Okay guys, I wasn't going to make a video today, but I think I found a new trend in uranium. At the end, I'll talk a little bit about gold and silver because why not, but it's really about uranium. So for those of you who have been following me, you know that we figured out a long time ago to follow these particular names. Cameco, UEC, and NextGen. These equities provide the best guidance in the sector in terms of where to buy, where to sell, and whether or not we're still bullish in the market broadly. Okay, because look, if you just zoom out, these are parallel lines. This is a bull channel in Cameco, all right? And this is telling you that it is still in a bull market. Even if it sells off 50%, it comes to this trend. As long as it's in the trend is your friend, and the trend is up, okay? So that's what that tells you, and that's why it's so important, and also because you can find it in confluence, right? This is the same kind of parallel channel. This is a bull trend in a bull market, and until that changes, that is the fact of life. And so this is been very helpful for us to use these big names to know when we're finding critical support in the sector. Because while the smaller names or the over-the-counter names may sell off dramatically lower, respectively, relatively, the big names hold up on their trends very well. Okay, so in case you're new to this channel, that's the significance of this. And this is part of why we've been so successful navigating this market. Selling up here, buying here, we sold here, and we accumulated again here. And now our target has been coming back up to here to potentially sell again. And it has always been the case that, you know, if we fail here on the retest of this W pattern, then we're going to get out. Okay, but this has always been the first target, is to come right here, right here on every equity. Okay, and we've been waiting for it. Well, here's the rub. Now just bear with me for a second, because we're going to take a look at gold and silver, because it applies directly to uranium, because it has been having the same kind of confluence. And the thing I noticed in gold and silver first was that even though we were using these big names to come down and test for the bottoms in the sectors, the rebound in terms of strength, right, has been in the smaller names. Okay, so the bigger the name, the smaller the rebound on these critical levels. Even though the big names told us where these rebounds would start, it's been the smaller names that have rebounded the most. All right, so in the silver space, for example, you can look at a name like Hecla, right? You know, and it's up 34%, as much as 41%. Okay, but if you look at something like Agnico Eagle, you know, it's only up 18%. Right, so that's a double. And if you go to some of the more lesser known, smaller cap, 10, 20 bagger potential kind of plays, a lot of these companies are up substantially. You know, they're up 50%, 80% in some cases. I mean, they're up really, really big from this low that the big names gave us. So what does that mean in uranium? Well, it didn't dawn on me until now. But as you can see in the big names, let's look at Cameco. We have not come up and tested this target yet, have we? No. And UEC, again, we have not come up and touched that first target yet, have we? No, not quite. NextGen, same thing. It's even further down. We have not come up and touch it. But if you look at something like Energy Fuels, it has, right? Energy Fuels has reached its first target. But look, you also see it in Encore. I mean, look, we are essentially there. At the same time, we're hitting this, you know, pretty serious resistance. Although we are closing above it, which is nice. Nonetheless, we are reaching this target, okay? Just keep it in mind. That's all I'm trying to say, is keep it in mind. Look at something like Forces. Again, we've actually already met and broken through the target. Massive wick back down, though we are retesting the breakout, which is technically quite bullish. But that withstanding, just bear with me as we look through some more. How about Energy Fuels? Okay. Again, it's coming up and it's testing its target. So what am I trying to say? Well, as much as the confluence has worked out for us to this point, I think there is a new kind of confluence emerging, which is that the smaller names, the names that are not necessarily sector leaders, because look, Energy Fuels is not a small name. I understand that, but it's not a sector leader either. And that's the difference you have to understand. Cameco is a leader. UEC is a leader. NextGen is a leader. And the charts prove that, all right? And that's the distinction that you have to be aware of and make. So understanding that, what I'm trying to say is that the leaders are showing some short-term weakness and are having a little bit of trouble getting up here and are not necessarily making the best patterns. Meanwhile, you are already reaching our goals, our targets, okay, and several others, right? Energy Fuels, Global Atomic, Encore, Forces, there's several others, right? You're there. And so the point is, maybe you consider taking some profits here. Especially if you have, if this has been a pain trade for you, Or, you know, if you bought down here with me, right? If you bought on this trend and you're in a more of a swing position to see how it goes, then by all means, consider taking some profits here. Now, I don't think you should sell your whole book. I'm not. Everybody knows I already got rid of my Dennison position here. Okay. I have several others that I'm looking to potentially get out of soon. All right. And it really depends on what happens the next couple of days. But right now, what I'm trying to say is that if you've already reached this price target on some of the equities you may own, you may want to consider taking some profits here, because it does look like we have some short-term weakness building in the charts. So just look at the breakout we had in Cameco. This is a trend within a trend. You have a bull channel, and then you have a wedge, right? That wedge is a trend within a trend, just like this megaphone here is a trend within a trend. So as we broke out, we came and retested this multiple times. We have higher highs on the price, higher highs and lower lows at the same time, all right? You get this pattern. And if you look at the RSI, that's showing divergence, okay? And anytime you have divergence on the top, right? So this is going up on the top, this is going down on the top, that's bearish. Now, even though this is a short-term play, this is a daily chart, and it only covers, 8 days or something. Technically, it's still negative, right? So it's indicating that you're going to get some downwards momentum. You see the same thing in UEC. It's a little bit more mild in the signal. It's going flat rather than down, but it still means the same thing. And they're getting denied at these critical levels still. And so to reiterate again, the same way I saw this play out in gold and silver, you had some of the quote-unquote smaller names or more pretentious 10-bagger type names. They rallied hard. They rallied hard on the bottom that we were able to identify in the big names. All right, but it's the big names who were slow to get back up. And as the smaller names come up and hit their targets, it may be worth considering looking at them at a case-by-case basis instead of necessarily waiting for Cameco to all come up here. You may just want to look at Energy Fuels or Global Atomic and say, you know what, maybe this is a good spot for me personally in my position to take some profit. Personally, to reiterate, I'm going to wait and see what the market does tomorrow. I want to see the price action tomorrow. I want to see the volume. I want to see the RSI, and that will give me a better idea. But this is something I want you guys to have in the back of your minds. Just keep it in the ready, right? As a potential option that we may need to pursue. Now look, guys, I'm not trying to flash a bright red sell signal or anything yet, but I am trying to wave a yellow flag. We need to be very cautious right now because the momentum has changed just on this Monday to start this week. Long term on the weekly and monthly, nothing's really changed yet. We need more time to let it develop, but at least on the daily chart in the short term, it is losing momentum, and today was a big signal. Just zooming in, I want to show you something. Look at the 4-hour chart on Cameco. I want to show you that we are currently getting the golden cross. This is when the 50 rises above the 200. This suggests that you are now in an uptrend. This is a very bullish signal. Well, as we're getting this bullish cross, right, I want you to see how this is starting to roll over here. Now notice that we're getting the same kind of RSI signals, right? You're getting this negative divergence even on the 4-hour in addition to the daily, right? Okay, so keep that in mind. What happened the last time we got the golden cross? The last time we got the golden cross, we did the exact same thing right here. And we sold down. And in this case, we sold all the way through it. Go back to the previous time before that. The last time we got a golden cross, look what happened. We immediately sold right back down. It stands to reason that we are at least going to get a test back down to this trend line again in Cameco at the bare minimum. Bare minimum. And what that means for some of these others, I don't know. But in the case of Cameco, it looks like that could be as much as a 6 to maybe 7% sell-off. It just feels that way. And so, if you're sitting up here close to your price target on this double bottom and something like global, it's just something to consider. That's all I'm saying, right? Over the course of the week, we'll get more clear indications of whether, we should go ahead and dump everything or buy more for that matter, right? But right now I am seeing yellow flags and I want to bring that to your attention. So do with it as you will, but I can assure you I will be monitoring it very closely and I'll update you guys as much as I can.